What is up, everyone? Welcome to yet another episode of Damian Gary Realty Group. Today, we're going to talk about 8 different ways to help prepare for that home buying process. Now, go ahead. You already know what to do. Sit back, relax, maybe take a notepad and a pen, get some notes going on, and enjoy. All right, so I would say number one thing is to determine your budget. Okay, now in trying to prepare for this home buying process, it is never an easy thing. Most of the time, it's never an easy thing because most of the time people are trying to figure out, like, they don't even know where to start. And so in this video, we're going to learn how to start. So like I said before, determining your budget, okay? This is going to be a big deal. Now, this is going to have to allow for yourself to consider different factors like your down payment, different closing costs, your monthly mortgage payments, and ongoing home ownership expenses that, like I said in a previous video to this, which is sometimes you can't predict anything that goes wrong. Yes, you can have a home inspector go in, look at a property for yourself, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, they don't have a crystal ball to tell you, hey, this is going to go out in like probably a month or so. All they can do is give you a guesstimation as to how long to kind of like expect the life of this pipe or whatever. But even then, they're not always right. So you kind of just maybe if something is a life expectancy for 5 years, but then, hey, something goes wrong and you have to replace that piping in, I don't know, let's say like a year, then, that's very different from what you were told initially, right? So, so this is something that, I also had to my wife and I really had to sit down, and we were just like, especially with the monthly mortgage, we had to sit down realistically and say, okay, look, this is what we have, okay? This is how much we make monthly right now. And so how much do we want to spend on a home? Doesn't matter if you're in California, Washington, Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Florida. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're always going to have to go through this no matter which state you're in, even Tennessee, for example. So the whole thing is, how much do you want to pay monthly for your payment? Now, this is going to come out into a lot of factors because now you're going to have to factor in how much you're going to be looking at spending for your utilities. Now, this is really going to have a good understanding of, what's kind of going on in the inner workings right now. And so this whole thing of like really determining your budget really takes a lot of research, a lot. And my wife and I, I think if I remember correctly, it took us about a week solidly of working on this day in, day out. We were both working, had full-time jobs. And then, at nighttime, we really got together and really put all of our research that we were able to do in the day, we were able to come and bring it together. So we even like divided it out into different sections about like, okay, what am I going to do? What is she going to do? What am I going to do? What is she going to do? And then kind of go at it like that. So something that's a big deal to understand. Now, with saving for a down payment, okay? Now, this is something that most people do not do. I don't know why, but, it's going to be that for a down payment, it's going to be a percentage of the home's purchase price. So you should be aiming to save at least 20% to avoid, you can try to avoid your PMI, which is going to be your private mortgage insurance. And you can sometimes get a better loan. But if you are a first-time home buyer, you're more than likely that's not going to be the case. 20%. That's just not going to be the case. You'll come down with your down payment, and then you'll have your EMD, which is your earnest money deposit. And then you can go into a transaction like that. But the biggest thing that most people have and that they get caught up with in a bad way is definitely going to be your down payment for the house. And, let's say, for example, you're buying a house for $500,000, and let's say that, I don't know, your down payment is going to be 5%. Well, that means you have to come down with $25,000 of a down payment. That's just what it is. Now, the third thing is your credit score. Yes, the credit score is a big factor here. Now, with this, I know even for myself, me and so many other people I'm very certain are included in this one, is that most of the time we cannot, we have to, for me, I'm just going to put myself out there here, is that my credit was not the greatest when my wife and I first purchased our house. It got better, yes, but at first, when we were probably 2 years out from realistically purchasing, I had to use that first 6 months of that first year to hire a credit rebuild company and to help me get all of these other delinquent stuff off that I had no idea was even on there. So if this sounds like you, or maybe you never even heard of this before, well, maybe you should go ahead and check out some of these credit relief companies that can help you rebuild your credit, because there's a lot of things on credit that we have no idea that is on there. And so whenever you try to go buy a new car or go for anything that involves a credit check, then they say that, oh, well, I'm sorry, Michelle, but you have a 460 credit score. There's no way we're going to be able to back you. Then you're like, wait a second, I thought that changed. And that's where you have to figure out, okay, well, is there something on my credit? Because there could be something on there that is haunting you and that you have no idea about. So get a pre-approval for your mortgage. This is a big deal. This is where my lender, Derek Couture, will come in and make sure that you are properly set up. Sincerely, it is a big deal. The last thing that a realtor like myself wants to handle is a client. Now, I'm not saying that I won't, but this is saying that let's just say it like this. If you go to a realtor and you say, hey, I'm a buyer, I want to go ahead and buy a new property, and that realtor doesn't ask you, hey, do you have a pre-approval in hand? This is going to tell us how much you can afford. If you don't have that in hand, the first thing that I'm going to tell you is get with my lender. Straight up, get with my lender. I can get down some of the specifics that you'd like out of a house and get that part out of the way, absolutely. But the big thing here is that I need to know, before I go hunting for you, I need to know realistically how much that you can afford. It doesn't make any type of sense for me to go ahead and search for a $700,000 house when you can only afford a $300,000 house. You get my drift? So make sure that you get a pre-approval on your loan before you start going out and hiring someone. It's a big deal. Now, researching neighborhoods is also a very big deal. You cannot, so this has happened many times, okay? Not just on my side, but from the haunting stories that I've heard as well. That, let's say that a customer or a client, let's say, is buying a house in a neighborhood, and you have no idea of the neighbors. Typically, you're never really going to find this out unless you spend real time around that property during the day, even at nighttime, going to visit that said property. That's the times that you're really going to see what's going on. You can even check Nextdoor. You can even, the nextdoor.com that is. You can even check Ring. You can check, Google, for example. Try to Google how good are some neighborhoods and all that stuff. And this is not to steer anyone or blockbust or anything of that nature. This is sincerely for the consumer. This is for you to understand, are there any sex offenders around you? Is there any type of drug dealing going on around you? you want to be able to figure these things out, because let's say if you have a family, kids, the last thing you want for your kids is to be around these drug deals going on, and just negativity, violence, and all this stuff. That's the last thing you want. So, that is going to be a very big thing for a lot of people. Also, if you're a veteran, you need to be able to get to a VA clinic pretty quickly, right? So the number one thing is that you're going to have to tell your realtor that's working for you, hey, I want to be in this area because of these VA clinics. Then the realtor might be wise enough, like myself, and say, hey, well, and that area is great, but is there a specific reason that you want to be in that neighborhood or that area? Because, depending on the situation for my clients, if they want to be closer to the ocean, then I always give that helping hand and say, hey, I don't know if this is, I don't know if there's a specific reason why you want to be in this area, but if you wanted to be over here, I can see, like, all it takes is just a little bit of hunting, and I can see if there's any availability while keeping this initial place your primary. And like, these are things that the clients, you as a home buyer, you have no idea that can even happen. And so it's just an extra service that I definitely offer my clients, because I want to make sure that my clients are getting the best out of me that I can possibly give. It's a big deal. It's my business. It's my name. And so the big thing is that I want to make sure that my clients are happy with where they move. And so if they need my help, great, I'm more than happy to help. But, that's something that you as a home buyer, you need to make sure of, is to research the neighborhoods that you're going into, and, just making sure of all these different things that you do find on Ring and Nextdoor. Now, let's see here. This is a big one. This is a very big one. Really determining your must-haves and your absolute no's. Now, how I usually do things is like this. I would always tell my clients, make a list of your desired home features, your number of bedrooms, maybe even square footage, if you want yard space, any type of amenities or specific layout preferences, because this is really going to allow, let's say if you want a fixer, then I'm not going to put you in a newly remodeled home. That's just not going to happen. If let's say the opposite, if you want to go into a newly remodeled home, I'm not going to put you in a fixer. Simple as it. Now, this is one thing I love doing with my clients is, what are your hard no's, right? What are your hard no's? Like, some people don't like to be on the corner of a neighborhood. Let's say right when you drive into a neighborhood and they're the first corner house, some people don't like that. Some people want to be tucked further back into a neighborhood. Some people just want to have a pool. That's a very big deal to them. Maybe they have families. Maybe they just want to beat the heat in the summertime, which here in Temecula Valley is a very it's a very reasonable thing to say. Now, let's say that you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Well, great. There's a lot of that as well that you can do. Let's say that if you have an RV and you need some RV parking, well, that's a big deal. You have to, at that point, I can only show you properties that do fit that specific description. Let's say, I don't know, a hard no. Let's say if the HOA is like $600, but you want it to be around $250, great. Then I have to make sure as working for you and service you with properties that are only going to be at a cap of $250 for HOA, for example. So these are the things that you really want to do, once again, when preparing for your home search. These are going to help me as well as help yourself and the lender, all of us as a huge triangle, make sure that we can service you properly. It's a very, very big thing. Now, finding a reliable real estate agent or realtor, okay? this is a very big deal. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. So, with finding a realtor, you really want to find someone that that you get along really well with, that you feel good about them, right? Like they're not sitting there just telling you what they want. They're asking you questions about what you want. They're being upfront with you. They're not giving you unrealistic expectations. These are very big things, surprisingly, that a lot of people just simply don't think of. And not all realtors and real estate agents are alike. So if you have a bad experience with one, well, it's not supposed to be that same way with another, and so on. So if you, like I said, if you have had a bad experience with one realtor, we're not all the same. So just kind of take that into stride. But a really good one is going to find you a property that fits your parameters, and also be able to negotiate on your behalf. After all, that is the reason why you're hiring them, because they know the market better than you do. That's just because of this is what we do every day. Lastly, is going to be you have to stay organized and you have to stay prepared. So keep the documents like your pay stubs, your tax returns, your bank statements, your employment verification, making sure that all of this is readily accessible, because being organized with all of these things are going to help you streamline the mortgage application and closing processes all day long. The last thing you want to do is being like, what am I doing? Oh my gosh. And it's like, you have your work that you're dealing with, you have your family that you're dealing with, you have your marriage that you're dealing with, then you also have this move that you're dealing with, and it's like, just if you have everything in a binder or in a readily available computer folder that shows like, this is my home buying process, this is my stuff that I need, then you put all of that in there. That's what my wife and I did. We put all of our stuff into a folder in our computers, and anytime that we needed to do something, our team just gave us a huge list and said, hey, this is what we need from you. And we said, okay, sounds good. So we got everything done, but uploaded that into the file on the computer. So we had the exact same file that we were able to shoot off whenever our lender said, hey, we need this from you. We're like, okay, great, shoot it off. And we didn't have to think at all about it. So it was great. So, just remember, all of you that are watching this video, staying prepared for the home buying process is going to help you. It's going to be your saving grace, because one thing is that I need you all to understand, buying a home is already stressful, okay? You don't want to add more stress by not having the proper documentation, okay? You want to make sure that going through the mortgage application process and the closing process, that they're both easy. Because trust me, finding the house and getting your offer put in on time is huge. It's probably like one of the biggest deals of finding the house. Like probably the biggest stressor, because if you're anything like me and other people that I've experienced, is that homes can go very quickly, especially in a low inventory market that we have right now. Interest rates are high, inventory is low. People are making offers on homes like crazy, and the last thing you want is to have to scrounge around for all your documentation for whenever certain people are asking for it. You want that to be the least of your worries. So just make sure, by following all these steps that I provided to you today, this is really going to allow for you to once again have an organized and a streamlined process in your pleasant buying experience. Now, if you're relocating to California or relocating within California, selling a home, needing to look for off-market properties, anything like that, definitely give me a call, 951-397-2050. You can also reach me via email, which is going to be down below, dgaryrealty@gmail.com. And once again, you guys, I really hope that wish you the absolute best of luck in your home buying process. And once again, if you need any help, give me a call. Till next time, peace.